Hello, this is Youssef Ben Lucif. I'm a Mega North America founding member. And I want to thank you for your time, for taking time from your busy life and your busy schedule to come and find out about the Amwater Actify system. That's a system I will be showcasing and highlighting to all of you. And so it's an important system and it's an important topic. Why? Because we're going to talk about health. And as the co-founder of Tobias Healing Institute, a holistic medical practice, I always pay attention to the state of health. And I see a lot of people that once upon a time they were very healthy, and for a reason or another they lost that health, and they will do anything in their power to recoup that health. And that's why the old saying, it's easy to stay well than to get well. And so we're going to talk about prevention today. Omega, as you know, is a wellness technology company out of Singapore, and we specialize in the subtle organizing energy field. And our proprietary technology is called the Energized fusion technology. It's a technology based on something that happens in abundance in the universe, and as Einstein talked about in 1913, that's 0-point energy. And we need it, and it's a very important because why? It helps our protective field to strengthen, to become more coherent, to become more organized, and moreover, to make our body stronger, to move our body, or to awaken our innate ability to heal ourselves. And I do not know of anything simpler and more elegant than doing it with the Amwater Actify. A simple system, basically where you will be drinking water. It's a small appliance of 10 pounds. It's definitely a breakthrough technology in a field of healthcare. But moreover, it's in a field of self-care, meaning that you put that appliance in the kitchen, out there and counter, it's a plug-and-play device, take it out of the box, takes you about 10 to 15 minutes, and before you know it, you start enjoying its product. And what product we're talking about? The tap water that's coming in abundance in our household, in our home. We can take that ordinary water and we can turn it upside down on its molecular head and turn it into medicinal water. So this presentation, it's about the Amwater Actify, and we're going to talk about the 4 properties of this Amwater Actify. And first, I'd like to start with a rhetorical question. What if there was a way to turn your tap water into a living, energized water? Would that be good? Imagine things that happen in abundance in our kitchen through that plumbing called the faucet, to turn that water that comes in abundance through our tap into medicinal water. Once we drink it, it will move our body into homeostasis. It will move our body into a state of balance, into a state of ease. What if there was a way that water turns so powerful, it can actually help you with all the complaints that you have? Achieving and maintaining good health, you're going to need 5 different properties: oxygenation, hydration, alkalinization, nutrition, and energy. Well, Amwater Actify provide all these properties to us. But first, let's take a step back and get a handle on this subject called water. Why the subject of water? Why water is so important? Well, water is important because our body, we are a water creature. Our body is made up largely of 75% water. The human brain is made up of 90% water. 92% of our blood is water. When we think of bones, bones are actually 22% water. A mere 2% drop in our body's water will lead to dehydration. And you might think dehydration, what's the big deal about it? Most people, as a matter of fact, if you ask them, what is dehydration? They say, well, that's when I'm thirsty. My brain said, okay, I'm thirsty, I'm going to need to have a glass of water. But physiologically speaking, it's more complex than that. Dehydration can lead you to serious medical and physiological conditions. Dehydration can lead you to hypertension, for example, things that we don't think of it, or blood clots, or strokes, or coronary heart disease. Dehydration actually can weaken your thymus gland. And the thymus gland is a very important gland, part of your endocrine system, responsible for activation and maturation of these T cells and lymphocytes and so on. I call them the good soldiers. These are the white blood cells that go up and down checking IDs of cells. Friend, foe, to see if before mutation happens, before malignancy happens, before tumor formation happens, before cancer So it's a really important gland in our system. And that, there are large studies that shows dehydration can actually take that thymus gland and shrink it by 50%. I don't know about you. I don't want any shrunken, thymus gland. I want mine large and plump. I want to be totally protected with those lymphocytes. And that's just to name a few. I don't know also if you realize, for example, in the morning or once or twice a day, to eliminate the waste from our body, we go to the bathroom. That peristalsis, another word for it is bowel movement, takes a quart of water. And if you do not have water in your system, the body is going to need to borrow it from somewhere else, typically from other tissues and other organs. So before you know it, you start going toward that's what's called the physiological bankruptcy, when you have different organs start participating and coming to the rescue of other organs and no longer focusing on their main function. So this is water. It's more than just water. Give me a glass of water and I'm going to drink. And so it's an extremely important thing. Brain fog, for example, people cannot think properly. I've seen people at the clinic, they're totally having a migraine headache and they think they're hypoglycemic or they think they're just having a migraine. You give them a glass of water, all of a sudden the headache is gone, just to their biggest amazement. Just water. Think about that. Water is life. Water has many functions in the body, and we don't think of these things. We think water is just water. Well, check this out. Water is a catalyst, a carrier, a solvent, a nutrient. Imagine that. A medium, a facilitator, detoxifier. Water is a scavenger. Just to give you a quick example, water will contribute to a support of your healthy-looking skin. Foundational to that skin, there's something called collagen or elastin. And collagen basically is protein, water, and cholesterol. And without water, have you ever seen a farmer's face under the sun, constantly dehydrated? And you can literally see grooves, not wrinkles, grooves, and leathery skin. So water, it's important. Some cosmetologists and licensed estheticians and dermatologists, they refer to water actually as a liquid skincare. So water is extremely important for a good, healthy body. And the solution to pollution is dilution. And I hope it's kind of cute statement. I hope you get used to that statement because it helps you, several times a day to go toward that faucet and start drinking the Amwater Actify. And why we have pollutions? Because that's just the way we are made. Okay? And we are an acid creature from a pH standpoint, because 80% of what we eat is acid-forming food. And too much of that acidity, if it's not kept in check, that will lead to oxidation. And oxidation eventually is going to lead us to sickness. And sickness is going to lead us to premature aging and eventually aging to our demise. And we can avoid that. You hear so many times people talking about health is, there are three factors that enter into that health outcome. One is the genes, the cards that has been dealt at birth to us. You didn't have a say-so on it, okay? So if there is diabetes in the family, diabetes, the propensity of which you may have down the road if you don't pay attention to the other factors. If you have cancer in a family, osteoporosis, and the list goes on. But here's the good news. The genetic predisposition accounts only 20% of our health outcome. 80% is lifestyle and environment, and that's why I get excited. So if we pay attention to the liquids we drink, the food we eat, the quality of the environment, then we would never have to fall prey to that genetic predisposition. And that is a big statement, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. And one of those products that's going to help you stay healthy from an environment, but also from a lifestyle, is drinking Amwater Actify. We are, as a human, here's a cute term for you, we are exposome. What it means basically, that word, exposome, we have the magnetic ability to attract everything from the environment. And I'm sure you have heard of free radicals, things like xenobiotics. It's a free radical. Once it gets inside your body, it espouses the form of estrogen. It becomes estrogenic in nature. And women who suffered from breast cancer, they found in the tissue a big amount of xenobiotic. And that xenobiotic is an inborn from the environment. It comes directly to you like a virus. It comes directly to you and plays havoc into your body, all your 70 trillion cells. Why are we acidic? Because it's in our nature. 80% of what we eat, consider the groceries that you put in your shopping cart. Those are all acid-forming food. And before you know it, acidity is going to lead to oxidation. And oxidation is going to lead to sickness. And it's almost predictable. And that's why we have so many chronic degenerative diseases. Look at these disorders that actually they're acid-based, like GERD, for example, gastroesophageal reflux disease, also known as acid reflux, like fatigue, like gastritis, like gout, kidney stones. I mean, the list goes on. Obesity, candida, cholesterol, mood disorder, all the way to the big C, cancer. Cancer, by the way, this is statistically, it should be unacceptable. Today, there is 1 out of 4 people having cancer. And my understanding is getting worse and worse. A few years back, cardiovascular disease, heart attack were #1 killer in America. Today, cancer is the #1. Yeah, for cancer, right? Well, we can avoid that. Cancer and heart attack and hypertension and diabetes and obesity, consider all these 5 killers. 90% of our death is due because of these 5 biggest killers. They're all lifestyle-related diseases. And we can avoid it if we change our biological terrain, if we pay attention to our biological terrain. And one of the things we can do, obviously, is drink the water. And don't take my word for it. There are a lot of books out there. There's a book by Dr. Bet Mangalich. Okay? He said that in his book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. I love his caption where he said, you are not sick, you are thirsty. Don't treat thirst with medication. Imagine this, people, start having some symptoms and discomfort, and when the symptoms start becoming, a little bit more stubborn and nagging, we go to a doctor, and the doctor of the sudden will reach the script, and he gives you that prescription, and you go to the pharmacy, fill the prescription, you start taking those drugs, which is actually responding only to the symptoms. It's like a Band-Aid over a wound. Okay, no one is attending to the really root cause. And you're having all these drugs with their side effects and so on. And if only you knew, in some cases, you could avoid all those headaches just by drinking water. But when we drink in water, we're not talking about tap water, and that's to that point. You got to drink water as nature intended water to be. So it's not like any other water out there. Okay? There are a lot of books, not just Dr. Bet Mangalich's books. There are many books in the marketplace. Just go ahead and buy these books, and some of them are really easy read. They're written for the general public, and it's fantastic because there is power in empowerment, isn't it? But empowerment is powerful only in its application. So there are a lot of science facts out there, and I beg of you to go and read more about it. It will save you a lot of headache, no pun intended. So that brings me full circle to the presentation, to the Amwater Actify. Now let's talk about the Amwater Actify properties. And there are 4 properties. The first one is antioxidation, also called the ORP, oxidation reduction potential. We'll talk about it in a second here. The microclustering, the alkalinization, and then our dear technology, which is the amide fusion technology. And if you notice, I said plus amide fusion technology because, in my opinion, amide fusion technology, really that characteristic or that property of the water, the Amwater Actify, supersedes all the other properties, the alkalinization, the ORP, and the microclustering. Well, first property number 1, ORP. It's a mouthful, oxidation reduction potential. Basically, it's a scale. And it's measured in millivolts, and there is a negative side to it and there is a positive side. The only thing you need to remember is this: if something, a liquid or food, clocks at a positive value, that means it's very bad for you. That means you're going to oxidize fast. That means that's going to contribute to your aging, a premature aging, and even sickness. Inversely, if it's a negative value, then it's good for you, where you can actually slow down that aging process, that oxidation process, that rusting process, that browning process. And what happens when you take an apple and cut it in half and you leave it on the kitchen counter? It turns brown, doesn't it? That's oxidation. That's rusting. The same thing happened to every single cell. Every day we are browning, we are oxidizing. The question is, we need to slow down that oxidation process. And look at our Amwater Actify. Our Amwater Actify actually clocks at -400 all the way up to 500 ORP. And that's a fantastic thing. And also you could look at reverse osmosis, for example, folks. Some of you are drinking reverse osmosis. Be careful, don't stop drinking that. Reverse osmosis or distilled water is referred to as dead or flat water. Remember, water is not a dead substance. Water, as we see it on a glass, we think of it as just another clear liquid, right? Well, water resonates at 784 megahertz. So it's totally alive. And I'm not talking just our Amwater Actify, any water. So if you have a reverse osmosis and water does not have minerals, once you drink it, and study shows drinking reverse osmosis for 5 years could lead to osteopenia, which is a precursor to osteoporosis. And why? Because water is going to go and start leaching, looking for minerals. And what's the largest mineral that we have in our body? It's calcium. It's going to take it from our bones. That's the biggest storage or reservoir of calcium is the bones and teeth. So it's going to take it out there, and before you know it, you're going to have that osteoporosis down the road. And obviously you want to avoid that. Osteoporosis is a nasty, nasty illness. It's referred to as a silent killer. That's the brittling of the bones. And so reverse osmosis is really bad water. You need water with minerals, with all of its minerals. So it's really wonderful to know that our Amwater Actify, actually its property, clocks as a very good value in that ORP scale, -400. And so when you drink it, you change in the water as an antioxidant. Imagine that. It's like drinking vitamin C, sort of, right? Because it's an antioxidant. And since our water, it's our device, our technology is an ionizer, but not just an ionizer, you'll find out later on, it's actually also an energizer. But through that ionization process or through that electrolysis, the water molecule will split into two. The negative ion, also called hydroxyl, once you drink it, is going to grab or attach to all of those oxidation. Oxidation is always positive. So it will bind and you eliminate all this free radical. And if you do it every single day and drink in copious amount of our Amwater Actify, you just have developed a system where you can keep always those bad cells at bay. And so it's a lifetime type of job and a heads-up play. This is not, I remember one time one lady came to me after a presentation in a hotel meeting, and she came to me, she said, "Should I drink this water every day?" So I looked at her, I said, "No, drink it only the day you want to feel good." And of course, you know, she was not appreciative of my answer. But it's kind of funny. Yeah, you got to drink it every day, every single day. Why? Because the environment is constantly pounding us, constantly oxidizing us, constantly making us acidic. So we have to drink every day, copious amount of that, to just counter the effect of the environment and at times our stresses and times our lifestyle and so on and so forth, at the benefit of a healthy body. So it's really gratifying to know, reassuring to know, this is, we're talking about water, folks, the thing that comes to our faucet, and this is water comes in abundance, and relatively cheap. It's cheaper than electricity, cheaper than gas, okay? You can churn that without a single drop of chemicals. Our ionizer does not use no chemicals. There are a lot of ionizers in the marketplace. They use what's called electrolysis enhancer. Ours does not. It's just a true and pure ionization process. And so it's really nice to know that. The property number 2 is the microcluster. What do I mean by that? Well, molecules have an atomic weight. Like when you go on the scale and try to weigh yourself to see how many pounds and so on. Every water molecule has an atomic weight. And the water molecule is very plump, the H2O. Microcluster technology, our number 2 property of our Amwater Actify, all it means is this, without getting too technical. Okay, our molecules is very, very light, very compact, okay, it's very small, so therefore, because it's a hydroxyl, it's a negative ion, as soon as you drink that water, it will go actually directly to your sublingual glands and it start actually hydrating you before the water start going to your stomach. Imagine that. And because of that tightness and that compactness of that molecule, it becomes what's called a superhydrator. Our water hydrates you at the cellular level. Our water is a superhydrator. It's gratifying to know that it goes to the cell and cleans out all the bacterial debris, all the toxicity, all the acidities, all the things that potentially can really hurt you in the long run. So this water, Amwater Actify by Omega Global, is a huge detoxifier to the restructuring of the molecule, the microclustering, also called hexagonal water. And the property number 3 is the alkalinization. That you probably remember from high school. The pH, potential hydrogen scale. The liquid is either, or your body is either alkaline or acidic. If you are acidic, that's where sickness, that's where pathology, that's where disease start to fester, that's where you get dysbiosis, the bad bacteria start to grow. It's not a pretty picture, is it? Inversely, on the alkaline side, disease cannot grow. And don't take my word for it. I don't know how many of you have heard of Dr. Otto Warburg. Okay, and Dr. Otto Warburg is a German doctor and scientist, and in his root cause for cancer thesis, as a matter of fact, he's a Nobel Prize because of that thesis, he said this, and I quote, "Cancer cannot grow in an alkaline, slightly oxygenated environment." And I repeat, cancer cannot grow, and by the way, cancer or any other disease, but cancer, imagine cancer, cannot grow in an alkaline, slightly oxygenated environment. And why? Because cancer is fungus, and fungus is acidic. And so it's really important to understand the business of the potential hydrogen or the pH scale. And you don't want to be your body constantly putting it toward an acidic state because of our lifestyle. We need to move that scale toward the alkalinity. As a matter of fact, to that point, somebody that is total healthy, total in a state of homeostasis, okay, perfect body. You see their blood is 7.365. As a matter of fact, when a baby is born, the blood is perfect, 7.365 in that pH scale. And you notice 7.365 is a little bit to the right of the 7.0, which is neutral. So it's slightly alkaline. I don't know if you ever heard of this French scientist by the name of Antoine Béchamp. Antoine Béchamp, actually, he was a colleague of Louis Pasteur. And you know, we all know Pasteur, what he did. He created this, what's called the germ theory. And that's why pharmacology and all that ensued, and you know, in the compounding of drugs and so on and so forth. But we find out in his deathbed, this is, by the way, a true story. In his deathbed, Pasteur fessed out to Antoine Béchamp, telling him, "You absolutely right, Antoine, is because it is not the germ theory, it's the biological terrain. If your terrain is good, meaning that alkaline and clean and detoxified, the germ cannot grow in that environment. It will perish." And so it's important to know, in a holistic setting, we pay close attention to that biological terrain. And how are you doing in terms of pH? So the pH is an extremely important characteristic, and our water is extremely pH friendly. Meaning what? Our water has 4 settings. You can go and you set it up from an 8.5 pH all the way to 10 on that pH scale. There are 4 exact settings, and every setting has a different purpose for it and so on. And after you acclimatize your body drinking our water, and you move from 8.5 for 2 weeks to 9.0 for 2 weeks, and then 9.5, and you stay the course that way, you want to acclimatize your body as you alkalinize it. And once you drink it, you're going to see the beautiful effect of that. You're going to feel good, you're going to feel strong, you're going to feel happy, your body, and you start thirsting for that water. And here's a little formulation for those of you who do not know how much water you need. It's half of your body weight in water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should drink 75 ounces. And I'm talking daily. And I know I'm shocking some of you out there saying, "My Lord, Yusuf, what are you talking about? I couldn't drink 75 ounces for the whole entire week." You were right. If you drink in tap water, because of the chlorine and it tastes foul and all the chemicals in it and so on, we stay away, we shy away from water. That's why people are buying a lot of different, bottled water and so on, different means of hydration. Some of them will go to tea. By the way, no other liquid is substitute for water. It has to be clean H2O. So alkalinization is extremely important. Last but not least, our property number 4 is, you might guess it, I saved the best for last. And this is what excites me so much, because it's a novelty, and not just a novelty, it's really a technological breakthrough. Imagine this little small footprint appliance that you put, the 10 pound, as I call it, appliance, and that's how much it weighs. It can actually give you a water that is totally energized, and it accomplishes that just through our own proprietary technology, that Amized fusion technology. And that Amized fusion technology has 3 characteristics. And here are the 3 characteristics, okay? The first characteristic, actually AFT over the water molecule, it cleans out the water membrane. Imagine that. We're going to clean that water from all other deposits that are not endemic to the water. That's not part original of the water from an energy standpoint. So that energy information has going to get restored to what water is supposed to be. And I think it's beautiful just to sit down and think about it. And that's why when we use our wand, okay, we should wand everything that we drink, everything that we eat. Just to give you a quick example, this quick analogy for this point. Imagine you love Chinese food, but you're afraid of MSG, monosodium glutamate. And you know that plays havoc with your nervous system. And it's a no-no, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't take MSG, right? That's why it's illegal. And but if you still want to have that Chinese food, now you don't have to worry about it. You just take your wand your Chinese meal, and if there is MSG there, it becomes inert. And in chemistry, inert meaning that non-bioactive. It does not eliminate MSG from your meal, from your dish, but it's going to go through your body and not inside your body. And that's huge. I'll give you another example. If you like to drink red wine, some of the red wines are coming from foreign land, like Chilean red wine, Malbec. Okay, it's a great wine, robust grape, great aroma, great bouquet. It's a phenomenal red wine. Unfortunately, some of these wineries overseas don't observe the same agricultural standards in North America, like the use of pesticides and herbicide and insecticide and so on and so forth. So I hate to ruin your experience when you drink a Malbec with dinner and out on a date and having with your spouse and having a good time, but be aware that there is some things that actually can hurt you. So it's okay, you can still drink that wine, just take the wand and wand it a little bit, couple turns clockwise, and before you know it, anything that is bad, non-contributing to life force potential, will actually become inert, just as magic. And that's what this point means. And that's what the first characteristic of our AFT over our water. The second characteristic is it increases the life force potential. I guess here I talked a little bit about it as a natural molecule, as a natural substance. This is a little bit different in terms of the life force potential, not the cleanliness of that molecule, like I mentioned in the first characteristic. This one, it increases its life force potential. What does it mean? Here's the analogy, that the best analogy I ever heard, okay, is if you go to a gas station, you want to put some gas into your car, you're going to have a choice. You either put regular gasoline, unleaded gasoline, or super unleaded. And I will guarantee, I don't care which country you live, super unleaded, you always pay much more than regular and unleaded. And why? Because super unleaded has more octane. And octane, that's the characteristic we want in gasoline. That's the portion that what makes our car runs smoother and gives you a better oomph in terms of speed and acceleration. It's a clean gasoline, usually clocks at 93 octane. There is no NOx because there is no deposit in the injector head and the cylinder chamber and the pistons and all that, the valves. You get the idea? So you save the life of the engine. Inversely, if you go to the regular, it's only 87 octane. They add additives, they add things like oil and other chemicals. And so you don't have the same benefits as the super unleaded. And so it's cheaper, you might save money, but are you really saving money in the long run? In the short run, yeah. But that's at times is foolish if you really think about it and start thinking about health. That's why I said on the onset of this presentation, it's easy to stay well than get well. You might think that is cheaper to buy something inexpensive, but in the long run it's going to cost you, in my analogy, it's going to cost you an engine. The life of that car's engine is going to become a little bit, it breaks down much easier because you've been putting the wrong gasoline. This is the same thing with our amide fusion technology and this characteristic. So it increases the life force potential as water intended to be. And last but not least, the last property, and this one is almost poetry to me. It restores the true organic nature of a negative ion water as nature intended to be. And it's an organic match to our structure. Our body will know it. Why? Because we are negatively energized. That's the way we are. Negative is healthy in this case, okay? Positive is bad. Remember, free radicals are positive. Disease is positive, okay? Oxidation is positive. So what's the best water out there? And you will agree with me. It's like when you see like these snow-capped mountains like the Kilimanjaro or the Alps or the Himalayas or Mount McKinley, and when they start melting, or Mount Shasta, okay? It's a wonderful thing, because when it starts melting, it starts percolating, building speed and going to mineral tables and picking up all kind of minerals and picking ionization and get energized. That's the negative ion. That's why people like when they go outside from their home after a big storm, a rainstorm, and you can start seeing the rainbow, the butterflies out there fluttering, the birds singing, and you have a sense of well-being. Why? Because the air is fully energized with negative ion. Think of it of electricity in the air, and you're going to feel so good about it because your body is automatically attracted. How many of you have been walking by a beach, by an ocean? Okay, and you see that the surf, the waves, crashing, by the rocks, and created all that energy and all that power. And then salt, which is mineral. There are a lot of minerals in the sea. Like that's why seaweed is very healthy for us. You could see it all percolating in the air, and it's really good. And you feel that gives you that sense of well-being. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about in here. That negative ion, okay, that's coming out of our Amwater Actify. It's a total match. It's an imprint. It's an energetic imprint. Scientists talking about frequency and resonance, and we don't want to get complicated. But I believe that what's called evidence-based medicine or evidence-based approach to health. You drink it. Let your body, not the doctor, let your body telling you that you are on the right track. And if you really listen to your body as you're taking all these measures and drinking the water, the Amwater Actify, and using all the Omega Global, the one, and protecting your etheric body with the pendant, and using therapeutic oil, and drink Switch On to increase the glutathione production in your body, and having all these 8 superfruits, and then you drink the brine, all the 84 minerals. Imagine what your body's going to feel like. It's a matter of time before your body's going to enter into homeostasis, and whatever complaint you used to have about your body start correcting itself. Not the doctor, not you, not the person who introduced you into the business. It's actually your own body, because programmed in us we have this innate ability to heal ourselves. Give the body the right stuff. Give the body the right food. Give the body the right drink, the right liquids, the right environment, the right lifestyle, and the body will pay you many times. That's an investment. The return of that investment it's huge, absolutely huge. The peace of mind, because see, health is more, and I'm going to use a quote from my partner, Dr. Tobias. He said, health is not the mere absence of disease. Health is thinking your best, feeling your best, acting your best. It's what's once upon a time when we were teenagers. You remember? You can hardly wait to get up and start, go play and do things and so on. See, it's the outlook on life. That's why when the body is strong and healthy, so is the mind and so is spirit. So at the name of the homeostasis, we do all this. These are all products from Omega Global to help us, from bracelets to pendants to wands to product that we can ingest to oils we can spray throughout our body to the Amwater Actify. And once you do all that, your body will tell you thank you, thank you, thank you. And there is nothing better than a state of homeostasis. Those of you who are here for the first time in this presentation, be certain to get back to the person that invited you to listen to this presentation around the Amwater Actify. And we have a video around the device and the various liquids, and we demonstrate and we compare, you know, these properties I was mentioning, like the ORP, the alkalinity, and we can show you how we can take, you know, tomatoes, inorganic tomatoes, and turn them into organic. Make sure you watch that video. It's an absolute phenomenal video. It's a must. And then share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your loved one. Share it with your associates. Share it with your colleagues. They will be glad that you share that technology with them. So don't be bashful, because you can help a loved one, a friend, a relative, a neighbor, whomever, a human being. And with that, folks, I want to thank you for your time. I know you've been patient going throughout all this presentation. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all of you. Maybe someday we'll get to meet live, person to person. Thank you. So long.